After the Madras Native Association became defunct, there was no such public organization in Madras Presidency. As many educated Indians viewed this situation with dismay, the necessity for political organization was felt. In May 1884, the Madras Mahajana Sabha was organized. The inaugural meeting held on 16th May 1884 with prominent participants were G. Subramaniam, Veeraraghavachari, Anandacharlu, Rangayya, Balaji Rao and Salem Ramaswamy. With the launch of the Indian National Congress after the completion of the Second Provincial Conference of Madras Mahajana Sabha, the leaders, after attending the first session of the Indian National Congress in Bombay, amalgamated the Madras Mahajana Sabha with the Indian National Congress. Between 1875 and 1885, there were many agitations against British policies in India. The Indian industry was campaigning for cotton import duties in 1875. In 1877, demands for Indianization of government services were vociferously. There were protests against Vernacular Press Act 1878. In 1883, there was an agitation in favor of the Ilbert Bill, but this agitation were sporadic and not coordinated. For this realization was born the Indian National Congress. The concept of India as a nation was reflected in the name of organization. It also introduced the concept of nationalism. In December 1884, Alan Octavian Hume, a retired English officer, presided over a meeting of the Theosophical Society in Madras. The formation of a political organization would work on all India basis was discussed, and the idea of an Indian National Congress was emerged from this meeting in the Theosophical Society. On December 28, 1885 in Bombay, the Indian National Congress was formed. Apart from Alan Octavian Hume, another important founding member was the W.C. Manager, who was the first president also. One of the main missions of the Indian National Congress was to welcome the Indians into a nation. The struggle against colonial rule will be successful only if Indians themselves organize as members of nation. The INC provided space where the political workers from different parts of the country would gather and conduct their political activities under this banner. The main objectives and demands of the INC were constitutional. Opportunity for participation in the government was one of the major demands of the Indian National Congress. They demanded Indian representation in the government. Economic high land revenue was one of the major factors that contributed to the operation of the presence. It demanded reduction in land revenue. Administrative officials who had responsibility of administration in India were selected through civil services administration contained in Britain. The Indians could not afford to go to London and no opportunity to get high administrative jobs. Therefore, Indianization of services through simultaneous Indian civil service resignation in India, England and India was a major demand of the Congress. Judicial. Because of the partial treatment against the Indian political activities by English judges, it demanded complete separation of the executive and the judiciary. The early nationalists in INC came from the elite sections of the society: lawyers, college and university teachers, doctors, journalists, and such others represented the Congress. The leaders of the INC adopted the constitutional methods of presenting petitions, prayers, and memorandums, and thereby earned the moniker of moderates. They were developing an indigenous anti-colonial ideology and a strategy on which helped future mass leaders like M.K. Gandhi. From the late 1890s, there were growing differences with the INC. Leaders like Bipin Chandra Pal, Bal Gangadhar Tilak and Lala Lajpat Rai were advocating radical approaches instead of merely writing petitions, prayers and memorandums. Their objective became clear in 1897. The advocates of radical methods came to be called extremists. Their objective became clear in 1897 when Tilak raised the call "Swaraj is my birthright and I shall have it". Tilak and his militant followers now requesting Swaraj instead of economic and administrative reforms that the moderates were requesting through their petitions and prayers. When the INC was founded in 1885, one-third of the members were journalists. Mostly stalwarts in the early freedom movement were journalism. DadabhaiNauroji founded two journals and edited two journals, Voice of India and Rast Goftar. Surendranath Banerjee edited the newspaper called Bengalee. Bal Gangadhar Tilak edited Kesari and Maharatha. In the means that this is the means that they used to educate the common people about the colonial oppression and spread nationalist ideas. News regarding the initiatives taken by the INC were taken to the masses through these newspapers. For the first time in the history of India, the press was used to generate public opinion against oppressive policies and acts of the colonial government. Bala Gangadhar Tilak was a firm believer that the lower middle classes, peasants, artisans and workers played an important role in the national movement. He used his newspapers to articulate the discontent among the society of the people against the oppressive colonial rule. He called for national resistance against imperial British rule in India. On 27 July 1897, Tilak was arrested and charged under the Section 124A of the Indian Penal Code. Civil liberty, particularly in the form of freedom of expression and press, became the significant part of Indian freedom struggle.